That's what he did, is one person vote for one. Why did he do that?
Because the one of the positions is a two-year.
Yeah, sure.
Because, yeah, it,
We're fine.
like, they're 2 years. One of the positions, whoever, is it Matt? Yeah, Matt's one for 2 years.
Right.
So his, we had,
Scotty, we're ready for you.
brought him late on the
Yes.
other term, so he needs 2 years.
Oh, I got you.
Let's talk.
I know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I saw it. But everybody else did it. You know that.
Yeah, I do know.
It'll be interesting. I'll miss you, I know that.
Thank you.
I mean it.
Yeah, I mean, it was, it's
You've been on a long time. I'll miss Lori. I know when I got on first.
Okay. Okay, so, we need to come out of closed session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, so, first thing is the approval of the agenda.
Okay, we have two changes, two amendments to the agenda. The first one is, we're tabling Southside Principal Contract. That's action item, last action item under new business. And then for the second closed session for the evening, we have purpose of discussing matters related to collective bargaining. We are going to add another reason, and that would be matters relating to possible litigation,
Potential.
potential or possible litigation.
So, you've heard the changes for the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the amended agenda?
Can I
Yeah.
request another discussion item?
Depends on what it is.
It's job, revisiting the job descriptions that we had previously discussed.
We will call that matters relating to specific employees.
Okay.
You're talking about the closed session?
No, this is open session.
Um,
Can we add that
yeah, I guess we can.
for discussion item?
Yeah, for discussion item.
Oh, I see.
okay.
Yeah, just discussion, yeah.
Oh,
No,
so
no
let's,
action.
so let's add that to,
Yeah.
old business. Let's add that under summer driver's education.
Okay, so you want to talk about the job descriptions?
Yeah, we previously discussed, I want to bring it back.
Okay.
I meant to send that to you earlier.
No,
Okay, no, that's fine.
that's fine.
Okay, so motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next item is approval of the previous minutes. The motion is the Board of Education approves the minutes of the regular Board of Education meeting from January 23, 2023.
Okay, you've heard do I have a motion for that? So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda, district bills, activity reports, and it looks like there's 2 items under personnel. Resignation, Mike Burton, long-term sub, and hire Nate Anderson, assistant track coach. So, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Bianca,
Yes.
Witt,
Yep.
Helms,
Yes.
Ridley.
Yes. Communications, public comments, anybody sign in?
Nope.
Nope.
You're all here just to watch.
Okay. We'll just wait till I'm in public. No, just kidding.
So you have your finance and facility report. We did not have a meeting this month for lack of attendance purposes.
Was everything that we talked about on Fridays.
Yes, so
That was-
you have your budget reports, your treasurer's report, as well as your cash flow and your 5-year comparisons.
Yeah. We'll get to this.
We're not specifically talking about
Okay.
that necessarily.
Okay.
Yes, that's
All
for your information purposes.
That's fine.
Any
All right.
questions about the finance or facility report? All right, enrollment, as you can see, we are 16 students ahead of where we were last year. We are 7 students ahead of where we were last month. We've seen an influx, I guess you'd call 7 students an influx, the last month or so.
That's interesting.
So we're slowly creeping back up to that 1,000 student mark, so.
Well, let's hope we can.
We do not have a technology report this month. I forgot to take that off, so don't feel bad about it. Other than he's doing a fantastic job, so. Old business.
Go ahead.
The motion is the Board of Education approves the updated board policy manual as presented.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'm sure you read all 340
I actually,
pages.
I was going through it, but it was a very slow process.
Well, for the people in the audience, it can be mind-numbing reading all the different changes, a lot of policies. We have to change language in there due to court cases and things like that. So when you have to go through the entire thing, when we get the different orders from the state, it can take some time. We've actually been looking at this over the last couple of months.
So the funny thing that happened with this, and Mrs. Royer and myself have been working on this for a while, we learned through this process is that in a Google Doc, there is a maximum number of characters you can have. And our policy manual exceeded that. So what we've had to do is look at tell me what you find out, because it's an insane amount of characters. So what we get is we subscribe to a thing called PRESS, which is throughout the state of Illinois, and it is made up of a committee of administrators and attorneys, and they go through your board policy manual is pretty standard depending on from district to district, because everybody subscribes to this service. But they've now since, even before COVID and post-COVID, you have, so you have your policies, and then you have administrative procedures, which gives you guides on how you handle certain things or how you implement it. And then you have exhibits, which would be specific things like letters to the community and those types of things. So when you add all of that together, we exceeded whatever the limit was.
1.02 million.
So 1.02 million characters is what our board policy manual exceeded. So what we're doing is we're going to have 2 different documents. We're going to have a policy manual, which is the policies themselves, which you just approved. And then we're going to have another manual that has the exhibits and the administrative procedures. Does that make sense to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
So right now, we're just approving the policies to make sure they're updated, and then I will bring back another document for approval later, which is administrative procedures and exhibits. And it's quite lengthy.
And my question is this policy, the manual,
Mhm.
I mean, I know it's electronic, but will it, once it's approved, is it available for public?
It will be put on once this is approved, it will go on the website
Good.
in place of what we've got up there currently.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure
Yes.
the public knew that.
So we're trying to make it a little bit more user-friendly so you can look for
Yeah.
things if you want to research that,
Okay.
which I'm sure everybody does. Because they have nothing better to do.
Yeah, well, before the software was changed, I mean, you used to look at it and had so many strike-throughs and all kinds of things on it, and it was even more cumbersome than it is now. But the state, tries to keep us up to date, or whatever that service is. I always forget the name of it. That we get that. Yeah.
So the IASB.
All right, so that's an action item.
You just need a vote.
Yeah, we just
You
need,
a voice vote.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
District insurance renewal.
All right, so we have 2 things here. The first is the motion. The motion is the Board of Education approves the district medical insurance renewal package as presented. And before you do that, we are going to recommend the Blue Choice options. program. So that's what we'll be voting on, and I'll explain the difference here in a second, once I get a
So
motion in a second.
missed the one.
Yes.
Okay, just for everybody, that's far right. Okay, and you want to do these two together?
I want to do them separately.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion to approve medical insurance renewal package?
So moved.
Second.
All right, discussion.
So our insurance renewal is a source of trepidation every year for Kyla and myself. Currently, this line right here is what we're paying. So what we're paying, and you probably don't want the particulars, is we're paying $779.57 per employee for 12 months. So our estimated costs for this past year were $989,983. The renewal came in at 14%, and I was ecstatic about 14% because when we were talking to our broker, I was estimating as high as maybe 30%. We have several six-figure claims on our program, which concerned me that that number was going to be much higher. So credit goes to our broker. They were able to negotiate a straight renewal of $888.68, which is 14% over the current cost. That would have taken our cost from $989 to $1.1 million. They brought to us a third option, which is called the Blue Choice option. And the way this works is it's a tiered system. You have tier 1 providers, you have tier 2 providers, and you have out-of-network. There is a benefit to the staff for going with this program. A tier 1 provider is a lower deductible, or excuse me, not lower deductible, it's a lower premium, and the out-of-pocket max is included, excuse me, your RX or your prescriptions are included in your out-of-pocket max. So in the current plan, you have an out-of-pocket max of $4,500 plus another $1,000. So your out-of-pocket max to reach your prescription and your medical is $5,500. For a family, it was $10,000. It was $13,200. If you go to a tier 1 provider, it's $3,000 and $9,000. So there's a benefit to the employees. And what we did is we polled all of the employees and asked them to research where their provider was. 93% of the people that responded said their current provider was tier 1. No one said that they had a tier 2 provider. There's essentially no change in coverage if you go to tier 2. So it was only a benefit to our staff to go with this. We had the people, our brokers, come out and give a presentation to the staff, and there was no pushback or no concerns expressed by the staff. So we're going to recommend that. Now here's the benefit to the district. So instead of paying 1.1 million, we're just over 1 million. So it's roughly a savings between $60,000 and $70,000 with no change in coverage and no one having to go to a different provider. Another nice thing about this program is if you go to out-of-state doctor, it automatically defaults to tier 1. So if you go to Iowa City, it counts as a tier 1 provider. If you go to Mayo in Minnesota, it defaults to tier 1 as well. So, questions?
That sounds great.
Yeah,
Yeah, good.
So we would probably need a roll call for this.
yeah, definitely. All right, roll call vote?
Danhoff,
Yes.
Witt.
Yep.
Helms,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Ridley.
Yes. All right, then the second part of this is the motion that the Board of Education approves the district dental renewal plan as
And
presented.
we're going with dental option 1. And I'll explain that too here in a second.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
No discussion.
So the difference in this coverage is pretty, so number one, we don't pay for dental. Dental is at the cost of the employee. We have been going round and round with our local providers in terms of how best we can provide dental coverage for our staff. Instead of doing a straight renewal, we are going with this renewal, which is option, say 1A, if you want to call it that. And what this does is it waives the deductible. So currently, for every person you have coverage, it's a $75 deductible throughout the year. So if you have you and your spouse, it's 150. If you have you, your spouse, and a kid, it's 2. So in doing the calculations, most people go to a PPO, which would where the deductible would apply. The cost of the increased monthly premium to the employee was less than $75. So it's a benefit to those people who go to a PPO to go to this, waive the deductible. They'll have a $2 or $3 a month increase in their coverage, but they're not paying the 75. They're not paying the 150. It's going to be a savings to them in the long run. So that's why we were recommending this option. We put it out to the staff. We got no one to come up and say, we don't like that.
Okay.
So that's why we're making this option. And this is no cost to the district because we don't pay for that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Whit.
Yep.
Helms.
Yes.
Wilkins.
Yes.
Van Hoff.
Yes.
Ridley.
Yes. Okay, summer drivers education.
The motion of the Board of Education for the Summer Driver's Education Program as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Corey, there's no change, correct? Same as we've done every year.
Yeah.
All right, we'll have to have a roll call on this too, because there's,
Helms.
Yes.
Wilkins.
Yes.
Van Hoff.
Yes.
Whit.
Yep.
Ridley.
yes. All right, new business.
Nope, sorry.
Oh,
we're
I'm
adding-
sorry. You put it under there.
Yep.
I forgot that. So a discussion item,
Job
want to discuss job descriptions that we previously talked about.
So previously we went through a number of job descriptions for different employees within the district. And I would want to bring up the coaches and extracurricular activities advisor position and some of the requirements, or I don't know if I want to so much make a requirement, but I want to discuss options or incentivize or encourage more participation in building our athletic programs. I look at local cities, local towns in our conference that we compete against, and I see how they're building their programs. I see how their coaches are involved. And in some cases, we have that in Worcester, and in many cases, we don't. And
Could you give an example?
Yeah,
I'm not sure what you're
if I
talking
go,
about.
if I start giving examples, I'm afraid I'm gonna get into.
Oh, no, okay, so
From
you're
the
talking
other
about,
So let me step in here
I'm
for a second.
sorry.
I think he's talking about participation at the lower levels, running camps, running those types of.
Yes,
So-
yes, building the program from a younger age.
I got you now. I like that, actually.
Hey, Dustin, do you foresee that being in the job description of individual coaches or individual coaches and, say, the athletic director?
And yeah, I think athletic director has a key part in that too. I
Okay,
think.
yeah. Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking when you brought it up before.
Huh.
And I thought if that was, something that we might, or that you guys might want to discuss is how to structure that from the top down.
So
Yeah.
I would just say this, I thought we had language in there about that.
I would bet through.
I'm looking at it right now and it's not there.
Yeah,
So let
it's-
me go back on the old one and check.
Mhm.
The other thing I would say with that is that's an issue that I also have and have wondered about tackling that in the collective bargaining process in terms of stipends and things like that and tying that into some sort of off-season, for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
off-season programs, those types of things. So that's not has not been given thought already, so. yeah.
Kids at the age, and you see what some of the local areas are doing, and then you see it's not just volunteers, there's volunteers there, but you also see the head of different activities being there and requiring varsity players there.
Participate.
Yes, as part of the
Yeah,
entire
sure.
program.
I've seen that.
I think there's an opportunity there that, we can get in on and build our,
I will go back and I'll revisit the old one. If we left it off, we can always amend the job description. There's a couple things that No, I thought that was in there, so let me look back and see what got, no, that's fine. That's a good point. Other comments concerning
No,
the discussion? Is everybody good?
Okay, thank you.
new business, cost saving, reduction
So,
in force, discussion.
as we've kind of talked about throughout the last couple of months, we're getting to a point in looking at revenue and expenditures where we need to have a serious discussion on either cost savings or increasing revenue. As I prepare for future events that are coming up in terms of contracts and those types of things, I need some direction from the Board of Education as to where you would like to go with this. You have some information at your table that we can discuss in depth after you have a chance to look at it, and the Finance and Facility Committee can also involve. But I'm putting it out there that as I look at our finances, we are going to have to start making some changes. It is the state of the world. Expenses are exceeding revenue, and the COVID dollars that are coming in are no longer going to come. So this past year, we got $1.4 million in ESSER funds. The years prior to COVID, we were getting an average of $400,000 in change from the federal government. So essentially, we're looking at $1 million in revenue not coming in after this year. We have contract negotiations coming up. We have rising insurance costs. There are going to have to be some tough decisions made. And as we've mentioned in previous meetings, I'm not advocating for massive reductions, but if you're looking at cost savings, the biggest way to save the costs is in reduction of personnel. And so a discussion needs to take place about possibly reducing non-essential personnel. That is not a discussion boards like to have. It's not a discussion that I like to have. But if there's ways that we can trim things now, it would avoid massive cuts if the financial revenue streams don't improve. So with that being said, I'm not advocating for massive rifts, but we do start to need to look, and I think the comment was made by a board member at one point, we have to make sure we're using our money in the most effective way. And those are very difficult conversations to have. They're not fun conversations to have. But they're going to have to take place.
One thing that's instructive is if you'll go to the financial pages and look at the year-by-year comparisons, look at the ed fund and some of the other funds and see what the balance was 4 years ago, see what it is today. And that'll tell you on a trend line, because sometimes you get lost looking at individual single-year budgets and you don't really feel the change over time. And I would just urge you, if you're interested in what the board is looking at, whether you're a board member, a prospective board member, or just somebody in the community, you need to look at that. So you see that the operating funds are really where you need to concentrate that on. That fund is by far the largest, and you can see a trend line there. And that's where salaries and benefits and so on come out of, for the most part.
To put it in perspective, at one point, we had over a year cash on hand, which means we could run the district with no revenue coming in for a year. We're probably at 3 months right now, 3 to 4 months. And that's nobody's fault. It's just, it's revenue does not keep pace with expenses.
The highest rating, I think, starts at 181 days of money. And the rating means something when we go to borrow money in our bond capacity, we get a lower interest rate. So that becomes extremely important to us, what our financial rating is. And that's where you get the highest score, I believe is 181 days. So as long as I've been on the board, we've always tried to maintain 6 months.
I realize we skipped over good news. Do you want to go back to that?
Yes.
We did.
So we're going to pause after that depressing conversation and go back to good news from around the district.
Well,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
perfect, you
would
need
you like-
some good news. So,
Yes, we do.
it ties in with enrollment at Northside. Kindergarten screenings started last week, and as of right now, we have 74 screenings scheduled, which if all of them come, I believe that would be the biggest class we have since the fourth grade.
It's at 86.
Yeah, so that'd be really nice to
Yeah.
get those 74 that are scheduled to screen all here next year. That'd be a nice way to boost enrollment.
Thanks. Joe?
I did put in there that we did host the IESA Wrestling Regional on Saturday. Happy to report that we have 10 wrestlers who qualified to go to the sectional meet this weekend coming up in East Peoria. We had 4 individual champions. We had 3 second place, 3 first place, or 3 second place, 3 third place, and 3 fourth place. Fourth place doesn't go, but we did have quite a few wrestlers qualify, so happy about that.
Yeah, that was exciting.
Corey?
Just a quick little addition, mentioned about the scholastic football team, since I turned in the report. They notched 2 more victories to finish their regular season at 13-0 and undefeated, and they'll be hosting regional next Monday. Congratulations, Mr. Bartos and
Yeah,
Yeah.
the scholastic football team, fine season.
Thank you. That's good news.
that's very good.
All right, so we are on to high school boys.
Boys track coach, this is an action item. The motion is the Board of Education approves the hiring of Steve Snyder as the head boys track coach at Morrison High School. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Any discussion?
He's
I'm
gonna
sure
be
you know
very busy.
Mr. Snyder's also the football coach. No, he's taking this on. So, any more discussion? All right, roll call.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Danhoff,
Yes.
Whit.
Yep.
Helms,
Yes.
Ridley.
Yes. Certified staff action item. You gonna do all these?
Yeah, we can read these all. So the motion is the Board of Education approves the hiring of Tom Franks as a certified physical education teacher at Morrison High School at the BA Year 10 step prorated. And the motion is the Board of Education approves the hiring of Andrea Wolliver as a certified reading interventionist at Southside Elementary for the 23-24 school year. And the motion is the Board of Education approves the hiring of Glenn Borrell as a certified special education teacher at the BA Year 5 step prorated. And the motion is the Board of Education accepts the resignation of Tara Dykheisen as a certified art teacher at Northside and Southside Elementary, effective the end of the year.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering about that. All right. Motion on these personnel.
So moved.
Any discussion? Everybody okay with doing these all at once?
And I actually, I'm glad Tom's coming back. That was good to hear.
So Tom and Gwen are starting immediately?
So Gwen was hired as a special ed aide at the high school, and as she completed her certification courses, and so now that she's a certified teacher, we will just move her from an aide position into certified position.
Terrific.
So she must have been an aide for some time.
2 years? 2.5?
I want to say 3 or 4.
Because if she's
When I
at
started.
if she's at 5, what, step 5?
Okay.
5? She
No, I
definitely,
just.
she has the years of experience
Yeah.
that to put her at that
Time goes.
step, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to check, okay, cool.
Roll call.
Danhoff,
Yes.
Whit.
Yep.
Helms,
Yes.
Wilkins.
Yes.
Ridley.
Yes. All right, well, that's the end of the
There will be no
regular meeting, unless
action.
there's something.
There will be no action after closed session, so don't feel like you have to stay.
So we're not going to adjourn yet, but that's it for that. I need a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of discussing matters related to collective bargaining and potential litigation. Do I- Second? Anybody?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right.
Everyone stretches, well, everyone clears out. We won't be very long, I don't think. Thank you.